Good morning. My name is Ben Baxter. I'm the COO of Kenmare Resources. I'm delighted to be making this presentation to you today entitled Project Delivery Strategies During COVID-19, Kenmare Resources as an African Case Study. You'll see here a disclaimer. I'll move straight on. Kenmare is the world's largest supplier of ilmenite. Ilmenite is a mineral primarily used for the production of titanium pigment. We've been in Mozambique now for more than 30 years, and we're mining up to 40 million tons of ore per annum, principally using the dredging method. Our key products are titanium feedstocks, both of ilmenite, mostly ilmenite, but also rutile, and then we have other co-products of zircon and monazite. Kenmare's strategy is built on three pillars of growth, margin expansion, and shareholder returns. And we're targeting a first quartile industry position. We've been doing that through the delivery of development projects, which are now largely complete, and they are increasing our production, driving down our costs per ton, and positioning us for strong free cash flow generation. The three core programs we've been working on have been in 2018, the upgrade of the WCP B concentrator plant. In 2019, we built a new mining plant and dredge operation called WCPC. And in 2020, we've been focusing on the relocation of WCP B to a new high-grade mining area called Pilivili. I'm going to focus on the move of the WCP B mining plant. This has been the world's largest and heaviest move of an intact mining plant. It's 80 meters long and it's as wide as a football pitch and as tall as a 7-story building. And it's been moved in one single piece. The project scope was twofold: to relocate the dredge and this concentrator weighing 7,100 tons, but also to build all of the associated support infrastructure for a new mining plant in a new mining area called Pilivili. Because WCP B provides around 50% of the feed to our mine, minimizing downtime was essential. And because the Namalope ore body was depleted, it was absolutely essential to make sure that the schedule for this project was on time. We considered many ways of how to do this project, but determined that the use of self-propelled modular transporters, or SPMTs, was the best way because it provided the quickest solution and avoided us having to dismantle and re-erect the mining plant, which would have taken much longer. We engaged with Hatch as our EPCM, and they helped us deliver this project through a project by phases approach and to a compressed timetable. We had a target to move this plant by Q3 of 2020 and to ramp it up back into production in Q4. Because the project scale had not been done before, the risk mitigation component of this project was significant. Moving to slide 6. So in Q1 2020, we experienced the rapidly developing challenge of COVID-19. We were in full swing with our critical path civil engineering on site, and we were in a critical stage of our contract development, with fabrication contracts taking place and being initiated all across the world. We had to deliver a prompt response, and that really on site, and that was really to make sure that we delivered on our highest priority of safety in the workplace, but also making sure and giving ourselves the best chance to deliver this project on time. We did this through the implementation of additional sanitation and social distancing. We introduced travel mandatory isolations and built and initiated a testing facility at the mine. And one of the key areas of success was that we got early agreement with main contractors and our EPCM to have their site teams present for the whole contract. We did this in light of rapid adaptation to the legislation that was changing as we were going along. Mozambique introduced a state of emergency, and there were progressive lockdowns across the world, particularly in South Africa, where we had a lot of fabrication taking place. This led to restrictions of the movement of people and of goods. And so in the first half of last year, we experienced delayed fabrications, and we had to relocate contracts to different parts of the world where lockdown was not in place. And in the second half, our main challenge was really to get people into the country, both the installation contractors and the move team. In terms of mitigations for COVID, we had to be dynamic, and we had to follow an integrated project management approach. And by integrated, I really mean the integration of our owners team, our EPCM, and the contractors themselves. Communication was absolutely key, and having a detailed understanding of schedule compliance was critical, with multiple critical work streams assessed at any one time. The buy-in of the owners team, the EPCM, and the contractors was essential. And really, we found that we had a can-do attitude across all three of those groups. That allowed us to define alternative suppliers or subcontractors if they were required. It allowed us to refocus the project towards more in-country contractors as opposed to many South African contractors that had been previously expected. And we even saw that contractors supported each other to ensure schedule compliance, where they would reallocate scope between them to different areas according to the resources that were available on site at any one time. This was all underpinned by Kenmare's country management experience, and we were able to help them to get their work permits and their visas into place in the as most efficient manner as possible. The agility that we saw and led to innovation, and this led to the development of the HMC on-time plan, which was a modification of the original scope of the project to ensure that heavy mineral concentrate would be delivered by Q3 2020. That was essential for the business to get back into production. And it really meant that we had to mitigate some areas where inevitably scope could not be completed on time. We developed Plan Bs for electricity supply and for HMC haulage. And inevitably, COVID-19 brought change, it brought extensions of time, and this brought added cost. But what we realized early was that those costs were outweighed by getting WCP B back into production quickly and on time. There were many success factors to this project, but principally the main success factor was built around strong relationships. Our project team became extremely well integrated with the operations at MoMA. And we saw that there were fantastic relationships driving through with our EPCM, particularly personnel who had been with us throughout a number of previous projects and over many years. The dedication of the contractor group was fantastic. And you could really say they worked as partners and went the extra mile. And those relationships were really built around a good project management system and control. We had a very prompt understanding of our schedule, our costs, and our risks. We ran those schedules on a constant basis. And our governance structure was efficient. It allowed the project team to meet the exco of the company on a weekly basis. That meant that decisions were fast, and we were able to give the project team direction and the ability and to move forwards with the project without delay. Our project was hugely successful because of the time we spent on developing contracts at the beginning. Those contracts turned out to be really very useful when the inevitable claims for COVID and the extensions of time came in, and we were able to have open and fair conversation with contractors. Everybody knew where they were, and that meant that we had a very strong professional relationship benefiting both sides. The last benefit was the decoupling of the non-mission critical components. This allowed the project team to focus in on what was important. When we had to change scope and focus in on HMC on time, then the team knew what they had to do. So this project has been delivered. Operations commenced on the 25th of October as per the plan. And in Q4 of last year, we ramped up WCP B back to its normal production rates. Significant stocks of HMC were built by the end of the year, and that's now benefiting the downstream processing operations. Our plan Bs were successful, and we made our transition to grid power in December 2020, and HMC haulage continues pending completion of the HMC pipeline. I think it's really important at this point to say a huge congratulations and thank you to our owners team, to Hatch, and all those key contractors who helped deliver this project. And it was truly under hugely dynamic circumstances. I'd like to share with you a 2-minute video to explain more greatly how this project was completed. Kenmare is available for you to follow on social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and on LinkedIn, and there you can follow us and keep abreast of how we're developing our strategy further. And with that, I'd like to thank you and wish you well.